With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to tonight's special edition of Single Muslim Live, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. It's so nice to join you on this rather cold evening. I hope you're all tucked up warm and enjoying the show with family and friends. I'm your host, Imran Safdar, and with you for the next hour, inshallah. Of course, we're live here, as you know, on Sky Channel 752. And we're also live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Ask family and friends to join the discussion, maybe in another part of the country. You can ask them to tune in wherever they are. And of course, there'll be some numbers coming up soon, so you can interact with us here at the studio. And of course, you can, like I said, join in with your important discussion points. Today's important subject is men's mental health. It's a very important subject, especially during this rather challenging lockdown. I confess to myself, it has been very, very challenging to keep ourselves active and to keep ourselves a positive outlook. And this is having an effect on many brothers and sisters across the world, especially so in the Muslim community. So the studio number to dial in and give your valuable, family-friendly contributions is 01924 231 Of course, standard network rates apply. Please ask the bill pays permission as ever. You can also WhatsApp as well in confidence by messaging. Now, bear with me, I don't have my glasses. It's 07950 797 017. Yes, the march of time. You've got to wear glasses now. Hope you've got your glasses handy nearby so you can type those important messages. Okay, inshallah, in a few moments, we'll be joined by a very well-spoken, eloquent blogger, author by the name of Saj Ahmed. Inshallah, I hope he's standing by right now. But again, please send those questions via WhatsApp and please call the studio with your important discussion points. We're talking about Muslim men's body image, how that can affect relationships, marriages, how that can affect finding that ideal partner, inshallah, as well as men's mental health. They're the discussion points this evening here on Single Muslim Live. And now, without further ado, let's bring our expert, let's bring our very intelligent blogger, Brother Saj Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How you doing, Brother Imran?
Alhamdulillah. It's cold up here in Yorkshire, but it's so good to hear you, brother. Are you well? How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, doing well. So I'm based in London, and the weather's not too bad now. It's a little bit nippy, but it's gotten better than the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's still a bit icy here, which further compounds the problem, and it doesn't help with any anxiety or mental health issues. Now, it's something that's really important that we've got to discuss, and it's just as important as physical health issues. I'm sure you'd agree. Why do you think, first question, diving right in, why do you think that Muslim men face unique struggles when it comes to mental health and body image?
Well, I think it's we all want to sell a version of ourselves to the world, and that becomes an increasing need when we have social media and we feel the need to be present on it. We see, different types of accounts, bodybuilding accounts, different type of fashion people are modeling and stuff like that. And so that kind of affects how you view yourself, because you start comparing yourself to those brothers and sisters online or on TV. But I think it's important to understand that whatever version we want to sell, it's not that version that's unique, that's genuine. It's ourselves that are genuine, and Allah wants to free us of that kind of burden. So yeah,
Now, some very important points there, not to get distracted by what the images we see on various media and social media. Now, what tips would you give brothers to maintain that positive body image?
Well, I think firstly, when you wake up in the morning, I think the first thing you need to kind of question yourself with is, how do I look? What type of image do I have in the sight of Allah? And I think that's very important to ask yourself. How does Allah see me? And am I doing something within myself to please Allah? Because one of the things that we need to understand is within yourself, if you're happy and you're spiritually healthy, it affects the outside, it affects how you view yourself. And I think that's the first and foremost important thing to understand. Allah understands that how important reputation and image is to people. And so we find in the Quran and Sunnah that it's, how sacred it is to preserving someone's image and reputation, and how strongly prohibited it is to try and destroy or ruin someone's image. So yeah, that's my I would say that's what I think. Yeah.
Valuable input there, and of course, if you're watching at home, you can join in the discussion. The number is there on the screen. You can also WhatsApp us, and Brother Saj, inshallah, will give your feedback as well to your important comments. Now, Brother Saj, now this is a question that's been asked many times, only in the past couple of years. Why do you think men's mental health, especially in the Muslim community, is seen as a bit of a taboo subject? Why do you think this important topic, especially in this day and age, is rarely spoken about?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think further studies and research needs to be done into this. But I think one of the reasons why it's rarely spoken about is our parents and grandparents. We might be second generation, third generation Muslims, or of Asian heritage, or different types of heritage in this country, and we might be born here. But our parents come from a different type of environment, where it might have been a harsher environment. You need to be stronger to provide for your family, or be the male breadwinner, which is quite a big type of expectation of most men, even in our culture today. And that affects, if you're seen to be talking about your mental health and how you feel and your feelings and your emotions, you're seen as a weak person in our community, which shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately is. And I think that plays a big role within our families and society, and how it kind of silences that discussion amongst us. And I think it's important to kind of show people that it's not embarrassing, and it's not weak to discuss your feelings and emotions. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to constantly look for ways to boost the confidence of his companions, the ones that he felt that had low esteem and low confidence.
Some very, very important issues raised there, and I think the key message there, brothers and sisters at home, is that this should not be a taboo subject, and please do not be fearful to reach out to qualified professionals. Brother Saj, I'm sure you would agree. And I myself had some issues a few years ago when my son was diagnosed with autism, and it was a particularly distressing time. And it may be nephews, nieces, grandparents, elders, especially at this very challenging time. Brother Saj, I'm sure, feel free to chip in with your important points here. I believe that right now we're facing loss, the challenges of finding a rishta, we're facing various physical health issues, fear, anxiety during this lockdown period. Of course, the virus has taken a devastating toll on our community, on our elders, and of course on those who are maybe helping us find rishtas. I think it's really important that we reach out to medical professionals. On the NHS doing some fantastic work with the BAME community on this sort of subject. But I remember a few years ago, one particular professor, Professor Abdul Rashid Skinner, he worked with my local imam, with some brothers that were running a youth club as well as archery club, Sunnah Sports Club at my local masjid, he coordinated with them, of course, with my permission, and put together a health and fitness regime, put together a plan with zikr, with dua, with prayer, with various medical therapies to get me through that period of anxiety and depression when I was suffering, when I was struggling to accept my son's autism. Now, many fathers out there, many brothers and sisters out there may have suffered, may have these issues regarding mental health. Please don't be afraid to reach out. Please don't be afraid to reach out to Muslim and non-Muslim organizations. I'm sure, Brother Saj, you would echo those sentiments.
No, definitely, I agree. I know so many brothers, and including myself. I've had some difficult times in my life as well, and there's definitely been times, especially when my father passed away, and after he passed away, several months even after he passed away, I was still trying to figure out how to deal with it. And there were times where I thought to myself, should I reach out? Yeah, so, sorry. So there were definitely times where
apologies, but you mentioned that du'as are with you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant the deceased the highest rank in Jannah. And brother, those issues of grief can lead to, sadly, I'm seeing personal experience here, I'm not meaning to castigate or point finger at anyone in particular. Those issues of grief, and I've seen it around me, can lead to physical health issues as well, and that can lead to body image issues, which sometimes has an effect on that rishta process.
Definitely, yes. It can, yeah. So I mean, if you're not in the right state of mind, then you're definitely not ready to go and look for a marriage proposal or even go down that road, because you need to look after yourself first, and then you can only go into looking at getting into a relationship.
So we're going to come back to this discussion point, actually. Grief, rishte, having the right mindset. But please do WhatsApp in with your comments, with your valuable contributions, with maybe some personal experiences if you feel you can contribute anonymously, of course. 07950 797 017 is the WhatsApp number. And of course, you can tweet as well at SingleMuslim.com, at BritishMuslim.tv. And it's okay to be anonymous. It's okay to talk about these topics, these very, very difficult topics about rishtas, about marriages, on 01924 231 083. And of course, we'll be able to respond to your WhatsApp after the break. So please do stay tuned in. We'll be back right after these messages, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. See you in a few moments. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Single Muslim Live here on British Muslim TV, sponsored by our friends at SingleMuslim.com, an organization that is concerned with the well-being of brothers and sisters across the country, across the world, in fact. And today we're discussing not just well-being physically, but mentally. We're discussing body image issues and men's mental health and how that can affect the rishta, the marriage process. And I'm on to be joined once again by Brother Saj Ahmed, a Muslim blogger and a bit of expert on these issues from London, and he's telling us about how grief and how mental health can affect the relationship process. Brother Saj, I used to look at Jazakallah, you're still with us. Bismillah. Now, let's come back to that topic, actually. And apologies if I'm struggling to hear you a little bit. Brother, we mentioned that taboo. We mentioned how men's mental health issues are rarely spoken about in the community. Now, from a layman's point of view, just a lowly presenter. Now, am I right in saying that there's this macho image within this brotherly system, within South Asian communities, that the men are supposed to be strong leaders, and sometimes, and I've heard this said, that just pray and shake it off. But sometimes with severe mental health issues, it's not quite that easy, is it?
No, it's not easy. The idea of praying and shaking it off, I've heard many khutbahs that, if you have strong iman, then you shouldn't be depressed or you shouldn't have mental health issues, and that is not fair. And you could be praying, fasting, and doing all the adhkar and reading the Quran, but you could still be upset and have mental health issues and be depressed. None of the two are linked in that way, and people need to understand that our families need to understand, our societies need to understand that. It all comes down to how the person takes that bit of information, because he might be sitting there in the khutbah and listening to the imam, and the imam is saying you shouldn't be depressed because you have iman, but he'll be saying, he'll be sitting there saying, well, I do. What do I do about it? Now there must be something wrong with me, when in fact there's nothing wrong with him. He's just, there's a temporary, he's using a temporary, he has depression and mental health issues. That we wouldn't say that's the problem in terms of there's something wrong with him. We all have these issues coming and going in our lives. And I think it's important to understand that.
Brother, you've made some extremely important points there. You see that shake it off factor, sometimes it doesn't work, but brother, leading into it, you brought me into another question. You have to remind me of something else. Now, apologies, this sounds rather vexed and personal, but what hope could you share? What personal experiences can you share when it comes to body image? And you've struggled with these issues in the past, am I right in saying? And you've managed to shake off these issues. You managed to find a route forward to combat these issues. Could you share with the brothers at home how you've managed to overcome these issues?
Well, yeah. So I've definitely had some challenges in the past, and there have been days, weeks, and months where I've tried to navigate my way through. I didn't go down the route of seeking help, but in hindsight, maybe I should have. But if I could give any advice, what helped me was diving deeper into seeking knowledge and seeing what Islam has to say about this issue, and see what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about this issue and how he dealt with it. I mean, we have loads of narrations where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would seek to boost the confidence and mental health of his own companions. Like one hadith, Zahir radiallahu anh was in the market, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam snuck up behind him and jokingly and held him and jokingly said, "Who will buy this slave? Who will buy this slave?" as a joke. And then Zahir radiallahu anh replied, saying, "Well, if I was a slave, who would buy me anyway?" And here you could see how deeply affected he was in terms of his self-esteem and his body image or mental health. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned him around and smiled and said, "You are priceless in the sight of Allah." And there's other hadiths like this. And the Quran, one of the most precious verses in the Quran, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. These kind of verses and these kinds of quotes and stories really do uplift your spirit. And it's not about as long as you really understand that, as long as you improve and help yourself from the inside, it will eventually trickle out and improve the image that you have about you. And if you feel good about yourself, then people will start to respect you, and people will start to see, because people will start to see how you are, how you're more confident, and how you're behaving in a much more healthier way. That's what I would say, inshallah.
SubhanAllah, some beautiful hadith there, brother. Very, very wise advice there. Indeed, you're absolutely right that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his life was full of such beautiful examples. He talked about moderation when it came to eating. He talked about exercise. He talked about zikr, dua, the importance of namaz, the importance of respecting our elders. And if you look the lifestyle of many of our wise elders, very much into their fruit and vegetables, and now we're going down routes of, without realizing sometimes we're eating more processed foods than we are, fruit and veg. So I think we need to look at our diets first and foremost, and that could have an impact with motivation, the correct help via the correct channels, via the NHS, via the qualified spiritual professionals as well. We can put a process together of spiritual as well as physical healing, and that can have effect on mental health issues as well, inshallah. I know, for example, when I'm with my personal trainer, of course, this is done virtually now, it does instill some confidence. I think that's my personal advice as a layman to brothers. So Brother Saj has echoed those sentiments there. Brothers and sisters, please do communicate your views and give us your experiences. You can do that anonymously, of course. The numbers are on the screen, of course, standard network rate apply. You can also tweet us at Single Muslim as well as at British Muslim TV. Now, brothers and sisters, now if you look now at our deen and we look at the Sunnah sports, Hazrat Prophet was very much into archery. He was into grappling, into self-defense, swimming. Again, if you think about swimming, it's a total body workout. And of course, don't take my words for it. Speak to your medical professionals and people involved in the fitness and training industry. Brother Saj, let's bring you back in there. Now, the Sunnah sports, they can have a positive effect on physical health, and that can have an effect have a positive effect on mental health. Am I right?
Definitely, yeah. So you get the added reward of doing something that is Sunnah, of course, but it definitely has a help in the mental health department. Even just a casual walk in the park, or a 5-minute run, or whatever you want to do, a bit of physical activity definitely helps with their mental health. It makes you feel better about yourself. Rather than staying indoors all day. We're all in lockdown, and some of us are taking it worse than others. But there's always the outdoors to just have a walk or do whatever you need to do outside. Even if it's going to the shop, walk to the shop. You just need a pair of trainers, joggers, and a t-shirt, and you can go running outside. It's very easy, and it only takes a little bit of effort, but it does wonders for your mental health. You come back thinking better about yourself. You start talking to your friends and say, "Did you know what I've done today? I went running, I went whatever," and they might even start joining you. I have a friend. He's been for the longest time trying to get me to run around the Emirates Stadium with him, and inshallah I will. But it's helped him a huge amount, and I've been running for a while now, but I've stopped because of lockdown. But it's something that I think I need to pick up for myself as well, because I can see that without doing your daily exercise and keeping active, it affects you hugely. Because we might start thinking we're getting fat, we're becoming unattractive, we're becoming slobs, and it affects how people view us as well.
That brings me into the next question we've got for you now. What factors do you think can help males overcome poor body image, especially in light of the pressures they're facing from today's society, as well as looking at the Islamic angle as well? You mentioned that lockdown, the closure of gyms has had an effect, but of course there's things we can do at home. You mentioned running. So let's talk about some positive routes forward to help men combat this poor body image issue.
I would say, look, at the end of the day, it's a battle with your nafs and your lower self. So you need to find ways of respecting yourself, and that can be done in many ways. I mean, learning something new, reading a book, learning to cook. There's just so many different ways, and they might seem like menial tasks, or they might seem like meaningless little bits. Some might even say it's a waste of time, but all this kind of stuff really helps you to respect yourself. and it feeds your emotions, it feeds how you project yourself to other people. Understanding how you feel on the inside is also important as well.
Apologies there. Sorry, slight crackling here. My fault. Apologies. But I think the key term to take home message there is respect yourself and look out for yourself, really, and don't be afraid to reach out to professionals, whether in the sporting world, to help with personal training, weight issues, as well as in the medical field, and reach out to a therapist. And lots of Muslim organizations can help you point in the right direction when it comes to that counselling as well as a mental health support. And now, inshallah, we've got a short break coming soon. Brother Saj, it's been really interesting. We're going to carry this conversation on, inshallah. A few more questions for you. Of course, you can call in WhatsApp with your anonymous valuable contributions. So please, remember, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You can tune in. So we're back in a few moments, inshallah. Stay with us. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Single Muslim Live, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com. Of course, we're here on British Muslim TV, broadcasting here from a not so sunny Yorkshire, very icy. Has this cold snap, has the ice and snow further got you down? Is it affecting your mental health? We do sympathise. Inshallah, we make dua that we can get out of this cold snap and this pandemic as soon as possible, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we're live here on Sky Channel 752. You can interact with Brother Saj and myself. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. You can share this post with family and friends. Join the conversation. We've had someone anonymously give their contribution on WhatsApp. Brother Saj, my brother's there, of course. Very wise brother with some wise advice on looking after yourself. Brother Saj, we've got a message especially for you. My brother is saying, Assalamu alaikum to Imran and Saj. Now, brother, this message goes to both of us. The anonymous brother has said, I think as Muslim guys, we can sometimes worry about our bodies at the gym. Some guys like going to the gym, others do not. And this is a dating program, also, alhamdulillah, halal single Muslim program. Some sisters do like to have the dad bod. Okay, this is very, very a unique point of view there. My question for you two is: how can we be positive in this third and possible fourth lockdown?
I think first and foremost, we need to find out what genuinely makes us happy. A lot of the time, like I said, people like to go to the gym to attain that body, and which is fine, and it's good to be healthy, and it's good to set yourself goals. But I think we need to be doing stuff that genuinely makes us happy, especially in these times. If it's I don't know, if it's playing Scrabble with your wife, or I don't know, something, whatever makes you happy, that's what you need to be doing. We need to be, because a lot of the time we do things to make other people happy and ensure that people view us in a certain way. That, I think, needs to kind of be put on the back seat and put yourself as a priority. Call your friends, call your family, speak to people that you trust. Be open about how you feel. That's one thing that's important, especially in lockdown. We're isolated from one another. We can't see the people that we regularly see, and it affects us mentally, because these are the people that we've spent all our lives with, and now we can't see them that often. So it's important to open up and be truthful about yourself, and speak to people and say, well, look, I don't feel well today. I'm feeling okay tomorrow, the next day, but the other day I felt a bit off with myself. That kind of stuff really helps when you're speaking to other people, because it's giving them feedback about you, and if they care about you, that's the stuff they want to hear. Even the small changes in your mood, people that care about you want to know about that, so they can help the best way they can.
Very, very important points there raised, Brother Saj. Now, I didn't quite get that dad bod thing actually. Can it be clarified? The number, of course, is as ever 01924 231 083. I hope I've got that right. That's the one. 01924 231 083. Need some clarification on that actually. Okay, Brother Saj, maybe you can chip in there. Dad bod. What does that mean? Help me out. You're a clever, intelligent chap.
Dad bod. Well, I'm not a dad, so I can't really. I guess it's the old, if you're in your, I'm guessing your 40s or
middle-aged sped.
Somewhere.
I think the word you're looking for is middle-aged sped. That's what you're looking for, aren't
you? Men, maybe you've lost that six pack, and you're not afraid to show a bit of, I don't know what to call it, but you're not afraid to show it a little bit. And you're proud.
You're being polite.
Yeah, that's what I guess is what people call a dad bod. And look, if everyone's taste is different, and if you're someone that prefers that type of person as a woman, then there's nothing wrong with that. And all power to you, inshallah.
And sisters, maybe you can contribute as well. Maybe you are counselling your younger brothers or male cousins in the family, giving them motivation, advice on what to say to the potential rishta. Of course, you can contribute as well. The number is on screen, 01924 231 083. Or, of course, you can anonymously WhatsApp 07950 797 017. Brother Saj, mashallah, with the beautiful hadiths, he's there ready to answer your question. Okay, now, Brother Saj, we've got another question for you. That it's quite important. Now, do you think that men's body image can have a negative effect on that rishta, on that relationship, the marriage finding process?
Yes, definitely. Without a doubt. If you don't view yourself in a positive way, then how are you supposed to, relay yourself to your partner? Communicate with your partner. Also, if you're someone looking to get married, how you meant to get out there and even market yourself, if you want to call it that. It won't end well because your emotions aren't in the right place. You're thinking about if you're having negative thoughts, if you're having low self-esteem issues. The priority shouldn't be looking for marriage, but it should be dealing with yourself first. But within the marriage, if you're married as well, it affects how your partner feels. It affects how your day-to-day goes. If you feel insecure, your partner might look for so many ways to help you feel secure, but it's difficult, and a lot of time could be spent dealing with those issues. And the good times and the happy times that you spend with each other might become less and less, and might kind of just fade away because you're not happy with yourself first. So that is it's a difficult one, especially in relationships. It can really harm a relationship and have long lasting damage.
Brother, now traditionally, when we find a rishta for family, for friends, we get the elders involved, and there's a process. There's a process usually where the boy side will go and respectfully meet the girl side, and they will sit down for tea, for treats, and what have you. But of course, with this tragic lockdown, with the worrying virus issue, sadly, that is not allowed right now. And of course, we make dua that inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us ease very soon, the entire nation, the entire world, in fact, inshallah. But could that lead to delays? Could that lead to issues? And could that cause anxiety amongst the brothers out there?
Yeah, definitely. It can cause anxiety. It's an uneasy time. So we don't know what's coming and what's going. We don't even know when our lockdown will finish, really. There's no clear path as to how we're going to get out of it. And so that all leads to uncertainty. And especially when you're looking to get married, when you're looking to, and when you're eager to get married, it just doesn't help a person on their day-to-day basis and how they feel. It can really be stressful on a person, and like you said, it can cause anxiety.
And of course, we implore everyone as ever to follow government advice and stay safe and try to do things virtually if you can, inshallah. And I know lots of, in fact, inshallah, very soon, inshallah, a niece of mine, quite a distant niece of mine, but mashallah, a great young sister. She's going through the Rishta process. I know it's been challenging for the various families and discussing over the phone and video calls. And it's now we're in lockdown 3. People are spending more time on social media. They're having to use various apps like Zoom, Skype. Various apps are available to discuss the potential Rishta. And of course, because they're stuck at home, they're exercising less, eating more, and now that may also, they're worried about maybe not, the Rishta's not progressing like they thought they would traditionally. They're also stuck at home. People are eating more. They are worried, they're despondent, they're down, they're seeing deaths around them. Of course, as you know, on our news feeds, there's not much positivity on social media, sadly, right now. There's all we're seeing is bad news about people passing away, and that's why I grant them all. Now we're seeing bad news about people trying to combat this awful virus. So sometimes, without realizing that, and now again, just talking as a father here, as a layman, that can lead to some issues with overeating, with lack of exercise, demotivation, and that can then lead to body image issues, weight gain, insecurity. But Saj, I know we've talked about this earlier, but I just want to reiterate to those just tuned in. It's easier said than done, I know, but how can we combat these insecurities, this, I'm not going to say laziness, that's the wrong term actually, this anxiety, this kind of blue winter feeling?
I think the key is don't give yourself too much of a hard time setting your goals, or in terms of this lockdown. Do small little acts and ensure that you do them regularly. I think I read a hadith. I believe it's a hadith. If my memory serves it correctly, is Allah loves consistency, even if they're small matters. So make sure you're active on a daily basis, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes a day, as even the bare minimum. And make sure you're eating on a moderate amount of food. And you're not excessive. You might need to, if you live with someone, your partner or your family, they could remind you, and they could keep tabs on you as well, and you can keep tabs on each other. But also your daily adhkar, your Quran, your salah, all that stuff is important, and all of that will help you. Like I said, consistent actions, and they help you. Keep that routine and keep your mind stimulating your mind in a sense.
But you're talking about action there, very, very important. Yeah. I do apologize to interrupt you. We've got a commercial break coming very soon, but we're going to come back to you to talk about your important points. Please stay tuned, inshallah. Assalamualaikum, welcome back to Single Muslim Live, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com, as ever here on British Muslim TV. I'm Imran, and of course you can share the remainder of the show on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Please call in the studio 01924 231 083, or you can also, because it is a bit of a, some people may find this a difficult subject, body image and mental health issues. So you can also WhatsApp anonymously on 07950 797 017. It's your channel and it's your show, and we're here to listen without judgment whatsoever. Brother Saj Ahmed has been coming out with some absolutely fantastic hadiths, bismillah, as well as some very positive advice on taking action, respecting yourself, and reaching out to professionals. Brother, we now have a WhatsApp message that's come through for yourself and the viewers at home. If you allow me, Assalamualaikum, Brother Saj, there you go. Bismillah, the handsome Brother Saj there. I'm a 26-year-old male, Brother Haj there, written in, and he said, I've had the worst luck with relationships, which has led to my own self-esteem and mental health issues. He said, unfortunately, the brother is struggling quite badly at this moment in time. Of course, we collectively make dua for you, my brother. May Allah grant you shifa. Now, let's go moving on to brother's message, anonymous brother. He has recently, however, started discussing virtually dating, and again, but he feels like these issues are causing him, they're interfering with his ability to open up and let the lady know about his struggles. And he feels like these struggles, these mental health and self-esteem issues are already causing him to drift apart from this lady. He's asking, do you have any advice how I can keep this conversation, this relationship going?
So that's a good question. First and foremost, I would say the best approach in terms of, making sure that you can open up safely to a person, especially when you're looking for a rishta, is rehearse it in your head. There's going to be a time when you need to open up. So try and rehearse it in your head, speak to friends and family and say, how do you think I should approach this with my potential spouse? And that's very important, inshallah. We do need to make sure that we look after ourselves and make sure we speak to ourselves first, and and practice what we're going to say. But eventually, we are going to have to open up and tell people that bottling it up isn't going to help the situation.
Brother Saj, that is valuable advice. It's a very challenging, very tricky solution there. In my point of view, I'm not as well versed, wise as yourself, and because of your wisdom, we've got a question for you specifically. What is your social media handle for anybody that like to contact you, Brother Saj? Feel free, if you're not comfortable with that, no problem. But the WhatsApp message comes through anonymously. What is your social media contact details? Brother Saj, is that something, are you able to share? I know it's live. Maybe we should ask this before, but it's come through.
Yeah, so my I'm on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter, but Instagram is at his folded pages. So I generally just talk about mental health issues. I talk about Islam. I talk about anything that kind of tickles my fancy. Really, I tend to read and try and absorb as much information in terms of Islamic history and how Islamically can we approach mental health and how we can talk about it in the 21st century, but with the grounding of the Quran and Sunnah.
Okay, another WhatsApp question has come here. Brother's asking, I'd like to ask, what do you think a Muslim guy's biggest worry is when it comes to body image issues looking forward to marriage? So what do you think the Muslim guy's biggest worry is when it comes to body image issues in the hunt for marriage?
I can only speak from my experience, but I think one of the worries most men have is being compared. I'm sure your potential spouse has many different proposals, and I think a lot of men are worried about being compared to one another, and that gives them that might drive them to better themselves, and it's not just about body images, it's about how much you earn, it's about everything that's about you. I think some people are insecure, some people don't mind, if they're a bit more secure in their own skin and they don't mind how they're compared, but there are definitely brothers who definitely find it a struggle to be compared to other people.
Now, it's important to stress, some very, very important points there, Brother Saj. It is important to stress that for anybody that is going through mental health issues right now, please don't feel alone. Brother Saj, I'm sure you echo these sentiments. And please reach out to Muslim and non-Muslim organizations that can help. And the Samaritan's available 20... Yeah, so it's British Muslim. First of all, I'm going to give you one specific resource. British Muslim have their own .tv/support. So that's www.britishmuslimtv/support. Now, that's it. I go to the British Muslim TV website, and there'll be information on there for support for those struggling with mental health issues. Of course, there's Anxiety UK as well, a very, very helpful organisation. There's the Samaritans, of course, on 016123. There's Shout as well. Text them on 85258. My brothers and sisters, please do not be afraid to reach out. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And sometimes these mental health issues, it can cause physical health issues as well. It can cause chest pain, palpitations, and it can lead to people feeling very alone, very isolated. So please do reach out. I know it's extremely challenging right now during this lockdown. We're very nervous. We're very afraid. The new strains are causing some anxiety, and I can appreciate that would make the Rishta finding process, the halal Muslim relationship finding process very challenging. Brother Saj, I'm sure you agree with me there that brothers, especially brothers, they may be young fathers looking for maybe divorced, looking for another Rishta. They may be young mothers looking for divorce, looking for a Rishta. It may be young students who are struggling with this uncertainty about education, about apprenticeships, and it can affect their relationships. What advice do you have when it comes to reaching out? Any particular organizations, any particular professionals that you can recommend?
I would recommend, first and foremost, try and reach out to people that care about you and you trust. And it's important that you trust them. Brother Imran mentioned a number of organisations, and I agree. The NHS has a specific help in that department as well. But I would, however you feel comfortable to speak to someone, don't be afraid to approach them. Your local imam, if you trust them, speak to them, because sometimes we need that spiritual reminder. That might be enough for us, that might not be, but there are a lot of the imams that I know, a lot of the masajid that I know, they have connections as well for help in terms of mental stability.
Now, Brother Saj, some very, very important points raised there. Now, Brother Saj, as he's on Instagram, he's on social media, you can follow him. Some important, valuable advice. But now, at the end of of course, brothers and sisters, please, let's look at the examples of the Sahaba al-Kiram. Let's look at examples of the great heroes of Islam. Let's look how they overcame physical health issues, issues regarding nutrition and maybe mental health. Of course, please reach out to your local alim, reach out to professionals in your area to seek that advice, to seek that spiritual guidance, inshallah. Many of us find it difficult to talk about mental health, especially in today's social media, very, very capitalist and very, very, very petty world. Sometimes it can be, but a small conversation can have the power to make a big difference. It's time to talk. It's time for young fathers, young men, Muslims to reach out. And if you're struggling, please, reach out and have that conversation with somebody trusted, maybe a family member, and then don't be afraid to speak to a professional. There's no shame in reaching out to a psychiatrist, a mental health practitioner. It could well save your life, could well turn your life around, and of course, seek that spiritual guidance at the same time. Brother Saj, I'm sure you echo those sentiments. final piece of advice. I know you've given lots of wisdom. Final piece of advice for the brothers and sisters at home, the men, young men especially, who are worried about body image issues and anxiety and depression.
I think so. There's an ayat that I remember. ضعف الطالب والمطلبون. So the seeker and the sought, those that seek and those that are sought, and how weak they are. And essentially, what I take from that is, in today's world and in today's society, who are we trying to, whose approval are we trying to gain? And we really need to ask that question, because if it's other people, then no one, we can't please everybody. We can't satisfy everybody that we come across. And so it really matters how how Allah sees us, and how and that we think about our image in the sight of Allah. And I think that's something that if you take that and run with that, it will help a lot of your self-esteem issues and improve your mental health, inshallah.
Brother Saj, I could listen to you for another half an hour, bismillah, full of wise advice, full of positivity, mashallah. Brothers, sisters, young men out there, I hope you gain some important messages there and positivity. Please keep on working towards better mental health, inshallah. Thank you for joining us. I'm Imran. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.